wanted to tell you my story about breast cancer. I'm about to finish what I would consider phase 1 of my story, and before I forget all the things that I would have liked to have had someone answer for me, I thought I'd make a tape with those answers for you if you're going through the same thing. Last October 2006, I was lying on the beach and I was just sort of feeling myself around and discovered an enormous lump in my breast, a lump that was way too big to have been sitting there for very long. It was about the size of a lemon, and when I looked in the mirror, I could see that my breast was completely different than the other breast. Well, a very good friend of mine suggested that I go to the doctor right away, which I did. And the next morning, he told me in a very shaken voice that he was pretty sure it was cancer, and that he was pretty sure that it was advanced cancer. I hadn't had a mammogram in 3 years, it's true. The last time I had been scheduled for one had been the January of 2006. They had called and canceled it. No history of cancer in my family, no reason to think I would have cancer, and in a completely healthy life. Well, I've come to learn that it seems like all cancer patients have led a pretty healthy life, and this comes to them as a complete surprise. You know what's sick? About the third thought that I had after I was told that I probably had cancer was, oh good, I won't have to diet this winter. I wonder what that says about the state of women in the U.S. today. Well, in any event, at that stage of the game, I certainly went from appointment to appointment with mammograms and biopsies and this and that, and finally ended up having a mastectomy on Halloween. Pretty appropriate day for such a thing. I will say that I read every book I could get my hands on, and I thought I was completely prepared. But I must say that before being wheeled into the operating room, I was terrified. I'd never lost anything of mine before, at least anything that showed, and I always wondered what I would feel like, and I was scared to death. But I will also have to say that since I haven't missed that breast at all, I really thought I would have had some sort of tender feelings for it, but in fact, it's actually a little more uncomfortable without it. So it can be done. I'd like to show you. I have my new prosthesis. I don't know if you can tell, but it's very hard to tell the difference between the two. As I was about to leave the hospital after my mastectomy, I asked someone how I went about getting something to stuff in my bra. Was there anything available for people right after the surgery? A surgeon told me I could probably stop by the gift shop on my way out of the hospital. That scared me. I live in Boston. These are world-class hospitals here. I didn't think that was very reasonable advice. In any event, for the next week, I pretty much stayed home. I wasn't terrifically uncomfortable. There are drains that stick out of your side, and they stick right out. And they're supposed to fill with fluid. My drains didn't work very well, and they came out pretty soon. I read Susan Love's breast book cover to cover, and I read a lot of other things too. Occasionally there was a mention of how you might swell up underneath your mastectomy under the incision, and it might have to be drained. The impression I got from these books was even once was unusual. Well, my incision swelled up for 5 weeks. I had to get it drained 5 times. I would have liked to have been prepared for that. It was probably more annoying than the whole mastectomy procedure that had gone before, because it poofed up like a water balloon and it sloshed around, and it felt like if you poked it, it might burst. Not the greatest feeling to wear around. Not to mention, you really couldn't wear anything to hide the fact that you're now kind of lopsided. Finally, the surgeon put something in there, injected something to make the skin glue down to my chest. And after 5 times of emptying it out, it finally did begin to stick. And I must say, it's been a lot more comfortable ever since. Something I've found since then, though, is all this mass of skin, a whole side of you, is trying to stick to a place that it never stuck before. And the sensations around that area are new, not things that you expect. There's going to be a pull here and a twinge there. Of course, I every time thought it was a new site of cancer or something. But I suppose it was just adhesions, scar tissue, and things like that forming. I must say that for about 3 or 4 weeks, I was incredibly tender, and there was a sort of burning sensation in the back of my arm and down my side. This really affects a big area. Mine was a modified radical mastectomy. They took out 13 lymph nodes. So they had get grabbed quite a bit from underneath my arm, I will say. And it was not right for a long, long time. It's still not perfect, of course. I mean, it's not normal like it was last year at this time. But now, when I stretch, and as you can see, I can move my arms pretty well, it feels sort of like a tight muscle, and it doesn't really hurt at all. I am numb back here, and that's a strange feeling, sort of like when you have Novocaine, you feel like it's all puffed out. And I have lots of things I think I probably imagine happening in that area, since that was the primary site of the cancer.